everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Setting a Project-Based Learning Unit in Smart Learning Suite Online for Blended Delivery. My name is Kendall Havenstein, and I will be today's co-host for this webinar. I will be here supporting the presenter in the background. I'm going to quickly go through a few housekeeping slides, and then I'm going to hand it over to today's presenter. So first things first, if you would like to earn a certificate for this webinar, you can do so by logging into training.smarttech.com and then navigating to the title of this webinar. And then if you scroll to the end of the video, a Mark Complete button will pop up. If you click on that button, it will automatically download a PDF certificate locally to your computer. Now in saying that, I will have the recording of this webinar up on training.smarttech.com, definitely by Monday. If you want to send me an email so I can then let you know when it's up and running, you can. My email should have been in the reminder email that you would have got for this webinar today. So if you just reply to that email, I can make sure that I alert you when it's up on training.smarttech.com with certificate at the end. Okay, so to use the control panel for GoToWebinar, you can shrink it if it's in the way. For those who may be using one screen, it can get in the way. So you can just click on the white and orange arrow. That will shrink it down to this size. If you want to unshrink it, just click on the arrow again, it pops back out. It's very easy. So with questions, we will have a question segment at the end where you can ask questions about the presentation directly to the presenter. You can type them in. There are two ways you can do that. You can type them into the question box and I will read them out to the presenter, or you can you can raise your hand to come off mute and ask the presenter directly verbally. So if you do have any technical difficulties throughout the webinar, or do you have any more kind of urgent pressing questions about the presentation, still type it into the question box and I will do my best to answer them. I mean, I can certainly answer any technical difficulties. I can address those straight away. Otherwise, any other questions, I will just wait to the end because most of the time the questions will be answered. Okay, so today's presenter, we have the lovely Molly Turner. Molly is an education consultant based in Sydney. She has over 15 years experience in education across the primary and the secondary sector. She's fluent in French and English and is a SMART certified educator. You can contact Molly directly. Her email is just under her profile photo there, mollyturner@smarttech.com, and also her Instagram handle, which is under her email just there, which her Instagram is updated regularly with lots of fresh content. So if you'd like to follow Molly on Instagram to receive a fresh stream of content, you can do so as well. And without further ado, I will hand you over to Molly. Thanks, Molly.
Thanks so much, Kenny. I'm just going to share my screen with everybody now. Okay. So hopefully you can all see that now. Kenny, let me know if it hasn't come up, but I'll
all good.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, guys, thanks so much for joining today. I know teachers have been incredibly busy as always, but in particular with the news recently for those New South Wales teachers about heading back to full-time next week. So I know that you guys have sort of a massive job ahead of you, and I really hope that this particular session that we're going to do today will give you some perhaps inspiration, or at least some ideas as to sort of how you can run these larger project-based learning units of work. And in particular, if we're still having students staying at home for sort of health reasons, that you're not doing two different programs, that we can be running a project-based learning unit in your classroom with your face-to-face kids, but also with those students that do remain at home and are still learning remotely. So we're calling that like that blended delivery approach. And if you've been joining us in our webinars this term, we've very much focused on that We understand that teachers have a massive task ahead of them in terms of navigating both of those those environments. And if there's anything we can do to help that, you know, I hope you get something out of the session today. So look, I don't need to go into the benefits of, you know, project-based learning with you teachers, but there are certain elements that I will be touching on today. So this particular description that I've got up on my screen here is taken straight from the Department of Education website. And I really do want to sort of tap on these particular opportunities, if you like, where we're able to do our project-based learning units to engage our students. So what I'm going to show you today will be these particular tools that you can equip yourself with in terms of allowing for that to happen. And the different elements that we're going to add to engaging our students do really provide a rich and authentic sort of learning experience. So whilst project-based learning modules do that in and of themselves the majority of the time, there's some really cool additions that I want to go through today that you can add in Smart Learning Suite Online. So look, other areas that I'd really like to touch on with you as well today is this student-directed learning. So with our student-directed learning, we definitely have our Smart Learning Suite Online. If anyone has been familiar with that space before, a real opportunity, an authentic opportunity to really provide resources and content to our students where they are empowered by the choice of moving through that resource. So they very much sort of dictate how they would like to sort of move through that resource, and it very much sort of taps into student-directed learning, which is always often really powerful. And look, there I will just really briefly touch on the you know, opportunity for collaboration as well, just because I know that you know, it is sort of a big part of the program, if you like, that we do have you know, lots and lots of teachers sort of wanting to provide these opportunities for collaboration. So whilst my focus today will be on that student-directed learning, sorry, my pen's just decided not to work properly for me. I'm not on a smart board, I'm on a podium, a very old one, just for those people that might have the new tech in their class. I wish I was in my classroom. So what we can have a look at is, if you wanted to turn that project-based learning into a collaborative task, there's sort of different ways that we can do that, and I'll make sure that we tap on that today. So what I'm going to do, it's kind of a twofold approach. I'm going to show you now, I'm going to go into my Smart Learning Suite online account, and I'm going to show you a resource that I've actually got from Teachers Pay Teachers, which came in a PDF and a PowerPoint version. And I'm going to sort of show you a really simple way to enhance that particular resource and push it out as a project-based learning unit where students can access it in their own time. For those of you that are perhaps a little bit more advanced with the technology, I do also have a unit of work which I'll also go through that has been created using our desktop software, and some really cool little tricks that I can show you just to give you that kind of inspiration in terms of if you're building something from scratch. So that'll be my approach today. All right, so now I'm going to head to my dashboard in Smart Learning Suite Online. Excuse me. Hopefully most of you on the line today have already sort of explored and have a basic understanding of Smart Learning Suite Online. If you don't, we can always, please let us know. You can let Kenny know in the chat space, and we could send you some links if you like to get started. In any case, once you do create an account for Smart Learning Suite, and we do have free access for teachers till the end of July, there are training modules just on the side here that can teach you a lot about how to use the platform, and it takes it from a very basic sort of step-by-step guide in doing that. Okay, I won't wait for that to load. So there are some really cool, very easy to digest, quite quick little training modules there for you. So for those of you that are brand new. For everyone else, I'm going to sort of assume that you've had a bit of a play in here, that perhaps you already kind of use it to some extent. And then I'll also sort of, what I'm going to focus on today is not necessarily running like a live class, but being able to create a resource that my students can either access in their own time in class or at home as well. Okay, and that's this one here, the Island Survival project-based learning. Now this I've already uploaded and I did that just by hitting on the plus button and I went to import resource. Okay, the reason why I'm not going to do that for you today is it can take a little bit of time and my bandwidth is already being stretched being on the webinar today. Great, so I've uploaded this resource and the resource itself is great, and you know there's a lot of amazing resources both on the DOE website and also on sites such as Teachers Pay Teachers that you're able to use. And I'm sure as you as teachers have your own amazing resources as well. So please keep in mind that those resources, they don't have to be a notebook resource. It can be a PowerPoint and a PDF file. And what we're able to do there with those resources is push them into an editing space where we can then enhance it. So we might then add these additional layers to it where it's maybe gamification piece in there or perhaps an assessment, like a formative assessment as well in there. So we're capturing all of this student activity and student learning sort of within the one resource. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off here in my edit mode. So I've uploaded my file, sitting here in my dashboard, and I'm going to hit edit. Okay, so this is in preparation for me pushing this out to my students. So this was the PDF that I received when I from Teachers Pay Teachers, and you can see I've added a little one here, but basically I'm going to go through a few of the slides, not the entire resource, but give you some ideas as to what I would be doing in order to sort of enhance this resource and create something that's really engaging and sort of really fun for the students to be interacting with. Okay, great. I'm going to keep my title page there. I don't need to do anything around there. But what I often like to do, and most teachers do, is sort of provide a hook into the unit. So what I might do just to kind of inspire the kids and get their ideas going is I'm going to add a little YouTube clip. So there's a plus button just down the bottom here. And if I touch on that plus button, I can hit YouTube. What's really cool, I think, as a teacher for you, the YouTube that you pop into your resources is that it's called a white hat search, okay? So it's powered by Bing, and what that means is it's not going to come up with any explicit content, and it's also not going to have any ads or play the next YouTube clip in line. So I know in my resource what I've got housed in there is exactly what I want my students to be looking at. So I might go to the famous Bear Grylls, yeah, Grylls, and he did a survival school, so which was with some kids. So that's sort of, you know, where I want to pitch it. And here we go. Here are some episodes. I can view them if I want to before putting them in, but that one looks pretty cool. So I'm going to click on that. It's highlighted in blue, and I hit add. So I've started off my unit of work there. I've got my title page and now I've got my YouTube clip. But, you know, again, before I get my kids sort of off and running on this project, I often like to sort of just capture what they know beforehand. So something like establishing prior knowledge. So maybe an entry ticket or something like that. So what we've got here, I could make one of my own if I wanted to, but I could also go again to this little plus button down the bottom here. And there's activating prior knowledge. There's all these really cool ready-made templates. So I always want to just take what has been created and sometimes make it my own, because, you know, we are time poor as teachers. So here we go. There's a whole lot of really cool templates here, and they pretty much follow the thinking routine. So if your school or yourself as a teacher, you know, really advocates for that, then you've got some really great templates that are pre-made. So I might just do an entrance ticket. I'm just really interested in what they already know about the topic of survival, okay? And what's happened there is it's made this great little handout for me, okay? Another really fun one to do as well, just I will just let you know, here is a shout it out, okay? So a shout it out is another way that you could do that. Cool. All right, so look, just really quickly, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to go through every single page, but I'll give you some ideas in terms of, you know, this is, obviously this unit of work was designed to be printed out and given to their students, and then to perhaps, you know, that they might add in their notebooks or something like that, where they, you know, use the page. They've got more sort of space, if you like, to create. So what I might want to do is couple this with a blank page, okay? So there's two things I'm going to do here. First of all, I'm just going to change that. I need to convert it to an activity. It's really important that any page that you want your students to be interacting with, that you want them to put content into, not just read it, but actually add to the page, you need to convert it to an activity. And because this particular focus is an individual student-led project, I'm just going to make it an individual handout. If I had my kids working in pairs or working in small groups, I'd make it a collaborative workspace activity, okay? But in any case, there we go. It's a handout, and let's, oh, I've totally forgot the topic of what, oh, that's right. Packing for your holiday. Cool. So I've got that, and that's sort of ready to go. But what I want to do is I want to give them an extra page in case that they need to, they want some more space. So all I did again was just that plus button, and I hit new page, okay? So what I can put in a title here, so we're saying packing for your holiday continued. I can make it a pretty color just by selecting and putting my green in there. And I can also add an awesome image of a holiday destination. Maybe they are going to Fiji. You can have a look at Fiji. For example, I can delete stuff that's not there. Oh, beg your pardon. Cool. So this is where they're headed. Packing for your holiday. There's your little holiday. And then you might have a suitcase in there as well. But you get the idea. So all I'm doing is I'm putting again in that Bing search engine, finding a suitcase, and then being able to just pop it in there just for a little bit of visual effect. Now again, I want my kids, my students, sorry, to be interacting with this page. So I want them to add content. So convert to activity. And again, I make it an individual handout. So I think you're kind of getting how this is developing, right? So look, there's not much else in terms of, there's a lot of pages where I'd be then adding an extra page. Yeah. So that's quite straightforward. Add a title, add pictures, okay? Down at here at page 7, I find there's another title page sort of in there, and I don't really need that. So what I do here is I just have it selected, and there's a bin, and I just drop it in there like that. Cool. All right, guys. So apart from that, the only other thing that I would add here would be, so there's down the line, the students are doing an animal research sort of project. And again, so these spaces in here, these boxes, our students will be able to add with a text box in there. Yep, and they'll be able to add text in there or images or anything like that. Again, I would bolster it with an extra page for them. What I want to do as well with this one though is I might want to add a link, okay? So I've got one open up already here, oops, and I just copy and paste that link and I can place it if I just hit on the picture button there and add the web link right in there and paste it and hit go, and there's a little one there. So what I might want to do there is I can drop it in there, I can perhaps put it on the side, but I want them, and I'd be telling my students to access that link and that they'd be able to get some information that they need on that page. Now, just before we go, all of these pages that you see here, I would have changed them all to handouts because I need my students to be interacting, but we don't really have time for that today. The other thing that I would want to show you just really quickly, this particular page for me, it's actually out of sync. I'd want it after the project as a checklist. So I just want to show you how you can move it around. So you can just select and pull it down. Okay. The last thing that I did here is that when we all come back together, I want a moment of reflection. So they've gone through this huge project and they've, made their map of the island that they were deserted on and, put in some really cool features there, gone through their checklist. So this particular one here, if I just hit the plus button, there's a response. And now we use that often as a formative assessment tool. We could use it also like a reflection tool that we can capture that student understanding and student knowledge. So all I did was click on response, and I'm just going to go into edit mode here, and I just built it. It's really straightforward if you've ever built a Kahoot or anything like that. I'll just give you a couple of little bits of advice. So you just select your question type to build it. So if I add a question, I need to just question type, and I can put true or false, and I can just put my I'm just putting text in there. You kind of get the idea. If I want an image, what I do when I'm building this is I'll just put my little thing like this, and I might just need an image of an island. And so I've gone to Google. I go to Google Images. I drop my little thing on my desktop. I go back, and I can drag and drop my image in there. Okay, so that's just sort of another cool thing. What about, do you want to be stranded here? Yes, please. True. Okay. And you select the answer that you want. Once you're happy with building that, you just hit the next, and then there's the title, and then you finish. Okay, great. So I've got this. I'm really happy. Again, just a reminder, all these blank pages would be turned to an activity page as a handout. Okay, so I hit finish editing, and the thing that we do then is, because I'm not running this as a live session, this is a project. I might have done an introduction session with my students in my classroom, but I basically want them to have this resource that they can either get to, during those times in class where they're working on their project, or at home when they're working on their project. Okay, and what's really nice is those kids that are learning remotely still have this connection with that classroom that's running face to face, so they know that they're working on the same sort of project. So what I do is I go to the three little dots down here, and there's share a link, and I copy that link. Okay, and I'm going to copy for you here, and I'm going to pop it into our little chat box, which hopefully then pushes it out to you. Okay, so if I just go, and I'm going to send it to the entire audience. So you should have got that through sorry, the webinar. That's what I'm trying to say. Through the webinar platform, you should have received a message that has a little link on it. Okay, I'm going to show you. You can click on that link, and then all you need to do is sign in using a Google or Microsoft account. So if I copy that link, I'm going to go to a new tab, and I'm going to go incognito, just for you guys to, what do I want? Oh, that's hiding it, that's why. To my incognito window, and I put in the link, and I press to go to the link. And what I can do there is I can sign in using my Google account. Okay, time has flown today. All right, so I hit sign in with Google. Okay, my account's here. We might not get to the advanced one today for you guys, but I'll leave it for another day. Let's keep it simple maybe today. So I've got a Molly Turner. Has it come up yet? Turner student. That's my student account, your kids would just be using their Google or Microsoft school email address, okay? With the little kids, you might need to guide them through this the first time, but anyone from middle to, middle primary upwards will know how to do this. It's just a login. So then you can see now, this is me as a student, and hopefully you're accessing this resource as well, and you can see how you can move through this resource. All right. So I get my, this is cool. What has Miss given me today, Mrs. Turner? Great. I'm going to start with my I've got a YouTube clip here I can watch, and here's my entrance ticket, and I start that. And I can put my ideas in here about what I already know about survival. As you can see, my editing features here as a student. So I would hit my text box and I would say what I know about survival. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to sort of show you because what we then get is recognition coming back into that resource that I know that Molly has tapped into that account and that she has started her project. Okay, again, I can come in and I'm saying, well, I'm going to go to Paris. That's where I'm going on my holiday. And what am I going to pack? And I put my pictures in there. I could put my text in there. Cool. And I can hit done, and then I know as well that, right, I'm not working on that anymore. And I can always come back with that link. So that link you might email to your kids, or you might put it in Seesaw, but that link is always available to them, and they'll always be able to come back to where they have started. So if I do launch this, and I think that's pretty much almost time, 4 minutes, we can see this is me as a teacher if I was going to run it in class and wanted my kids. So for those of you that have a bit of an understanding around SLSO, if I wanted to do, oh, I beg your pardon, if I wanted to do a collaborative activity, I will need to run this live so I can have my students connect and I can put them into teams. So I would do that this way, okay? Once they're in teams and they get that link, they will then be able to access the resource and access their teamwork at any time. Okay, and I hope that kind of makes sense to you. So I don't know, look, we don't really have time to take this a bit further in terms of logging on to the classroom, but what I did want to sort of show you is the fact that, look, we've done a lot of content around running these live classes and using SLSO in my classroom space. And so what I did want to do today is really sort of focus around having a resource that students are accessing at any time that they need to, and what they can do with that resource, what you can do as a teacher with that resource, okay? So sorry that we've run out of time, but what I sort of can show you a bit of inspiration, I suppose, in terms of, for those of you that are a bit more advanced, please reach out to me and maybe I could do a follow-up session for this webinar for those of you that are interested. But this, I wish I could take credit for. It was an amazing teacher, a Hizzy teacher that has created this from scratch. So, possibly don't have the time at the moment to be doing this, but this is the direction that it can go in, and then this can be uploaded to SLSO. So she has built this amazing unit, and through a series of links, okay, so she's put in a button and linked to a page, or linked to a website, or linked to a page in the file, anything like that. When they click on it, it goes to the next pathway for that student. So this is a really cool example of student choice and student-centered learning, where they can click through these little clips, their boxes, and it takes them to YouTube clips on what the climate's like in a desert, and it's massive. And they've also sort of included, lab activities, and so gamification and everything like that. So I suppose I'll leave you with that little taster. Please get in touch with us if this is something you'd like to explore further in terms of your project-based learning units. What I've given you today is a taster, and I thought I might have had a bit more time, but There's always so much to cover, and half an hour might not sort of be enough for everyone really. So please let us know if you're interested in looking at how this teacher has created this unit of work. And then, you know, this teacher would set this off for a unit of work that would run all term, and that they would do other work in their HISI class, and then they'd get to do their project work. And lots of them would be so excited. Sorry about the background noise. Lots of the students would be so excited that they'd be doing a lot of this work at home, because it is really engaging, and what the teacher has included here is really rich, authentic learning experiences, and it's all just by putting content together in the one place, using links, using technology, and, you know, capturing everything in the one place, because it then is essentially housed in Smart Learning Suite online. Okie dokies. Well, what we might do is just open it up to questions and see if anything's come through, Kenny, in the question pane.
Nothing has come through yet. Everyone seems pretty quiet today.
Okay.
I'll just remind everybody that you can ask a question by either raising your hand or typing it in the question panel. And if you type it in the question panel, I can read it out to Molly.
Amazing. So I think
a few minutes.
I can see here as well that, you know, I'm a teacher and I'm coming in. I can see Billy's work. So Billy's clicked on the link and she has started the project. So just so you can see there, obviously, as a teacher, what you're getting and what's being then captured into the resource itself. Cool. Okay.
No questions yet. Everyone's pretty quiet today.
Yep. All right. Oh, that was me. I put my daughter's name in. I'm like, oh, Billy, go Billy. Cool.
Yeah, I saw there is, yep, 2 questions have come through. So
Great.
one from Christina. Christina here, where can I find that wonderful lesson?
Okay, so this particular lesson, I think there might be some, so this one here, the original, which was a project-based learning, I got from Teachers Pay Teachers. So unfortunately, I can't share the entire resource with you because I don't own that. If you go to Teachers Pay Teachers, and it was $5, I can look at all this work for $5. It's so worth the money. What I did was I downloaded, I paid for it, $5, and I got this, and then there was a PowerPoint presentation, I think on slide 43, and I used that PowerPoint presentation because it captured everything I needed for my student work, and that's what I uploaded to Smart Learning Suite Online. So I'm sorry that this is because I have taken it from Teachers Pay Teachers. I'm not able to do that, but you can watch the recording again of this webinar, and you can take the step-by-step in terms of how I did edit it and how I did enhance it. And you could copy the same. Yeah, hopefully that's okay for everyone.
Okay,
the
excellent.
other resource I have though that, okay, cool, thanks. Sorry, Kenny, to interrupt, but there are some that I can share with you. Okay, so I could probably share the really big one if that's what you were after. This amazing one here. I'll check with the teacher, the HISI teacher, and I'll ask her if it's okay if I share that content as well, because it's phenomenal. Cool. Anything else?
There is one more question, but I have a feeling you may have already answered it. How do we get access to the project-based learning unit?
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that's the same thing. So just going on to Teachers Pay Teachers, there are some amazing units of work up there. And once you then download either the PDF or the PowerPoint, you can add them to your dashboard here in Smart Learning Suite Online, and go into the edit mode, enhance them as I did. If you want to just have a quick look in terms of being a student and working through this, the link that I've just shared in the chat box is there for you guys to be able to use and copy. Yeah. But what I can do with Kenny next week is we can look at some of the other resources that we've got and perhaps share a link that way with you guys.
Okay, great. That seems to be the last question, and that last question was from Mohammed, so thank you, Mohammed. You can give everyone a couple more minutes.
So, yeah, so guys, look, it's really worth sort of just knowing. I think as a teacher, I don't want to go reinventing the wheel. I'm, sure you guys are the same, attending things like these webinars and getting ideas and finding resources that are out there. The Department of Education has amazing resources. So this PowerPoint I got from them, and we've just been able to use that PowerPoint, upload it in here. So any sort of site, like I know this teacher here is a long time user of Smart software. They're very advanced in their use of software, of the desktop software. So, that takes time, but hopefully, we can equip you to get to this place. But in the interim, do what I do and see the resources that are out there already, the awesome PowerPoints that we can pay $5 for, or, access via department websites, and then go and enhance them by adding gamification and by adding a formative assessment tool. Okay, so these sorts of things are really great to enhance those. Is that someone with their hand up?
Yes, Mona would like to come off mute to ask a question. Awesome. So
cool.
There you go, Mona, you should be off mute.
Yes, hello. What's the difference between sharing a link to students or to teachers?
Well, if I shared it with a teacher, they're able to edit it. So if I shared a link, with the teacher, they could make edits, but as a student, it's locked. That resource is locked down, so they can't, share it on, or they can't edit it. They can edit, obviously, the pages I've made active for them, but in terms of this particular resource, and I know it's a little bit limiting given that I did get it off a paid website, but I just wanted to try and tap into a space where I think a lot of us are coming from, and that is that we've got these awesome resources and we just want to know how to share them in a digital space and enhance them. So yeah, but that's the key differences, Mona.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
Great question, thanks, Mona. Okay, there has been no written questions flow in. Just make sure no one else has their hand up.
And I'm happy to share the link to that where I got the Teachers Paid Teachers. It is a really cool resource on survival. And then I've just obviously sort of shown you some cool ways in terms of enhancing that. So look, a reminder, if you're new to Smart Learning Suite Online and you've got, a spare 5 minutes in your day, tap onto that training and have a look at, we didn't really cover today what that assessment piece looks like, how you get an Excel spreadsheet with the data and diagnostics, so it marks the assessment for you, which is really awesome for a teacher, but it's also a great way to show the gaps in our teaching and learning. So I'll just make that a big call out, and also to how to create an activity in terms of adding that gamification element and that gamification piece. In that project-based learning unit, I'd add a really cool game about matching up items that I would need for survival versus items that I can do without. Cool.
Okay, I think we might try to finish up, not keep anyone any longer. I'll do a quick wrap up.
Cool.
Okay, so that was the third webinar down for the term. So 3 more to go. So next week we have enabling a flipped learning in English class that will be hosted with Molly again. So please join us for that. There'll be some awesome information in that as well. And then for Wednesday, June 3rd, we have collecting authentic student data and work samples in a blended lesson delivery program. And then last but not least, all water term, take a look at some of the amazing work our educators have been up to. So that will be a great opportunity to get some resources and be inspired with some ideas of what other teachers have been doing. So you do have access to loads of resources via the Smart Exchange. There's loads of free resources on that. So you could just go to exchange.smarttech-product.com. It's just on the links just on the bottom there. And you can also email me for that link if you like as well. So there's loads of free resources on there, and you can search by age and by subject, and these are all shared by other teachers around the world. Please connect with us on social media. I do update them regularly because I know that there's loads of information to get out there. So I constantly stream lesson ideas, any new updates with SLSO. I also upload all the webinar recordings onto our social medias. So please follow us there if you want to receive a constant stream of ready-made lessons, webinars, how-to videos, and software updates. That's the quickest and easiest way to keep in the loop there and not be overwhelmed. There will be a survey pushed out at the end of this webinar. If you do have, it literally only take 2 minutes. Most of the questions are multiple choice and ratings. We do take the feedback seriously, and we definitely add it into all our webinars term by term. So we'll assess all the feedback we get whilst we build next term's webinars. And if you're still there, Molly, I've just had a question come through.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was on mute. Yes, I am here. Do you need to have a NESA number? Is that it? Or a smart account to access the PD courses? Is that, I'm guessing, no, not in terms of our professional development courses that we have. We've got full public access to all of those training and professional development modules. Hopefully soon we will have the NEST accreditation. So if you did want to, get up your hours, then that's coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. But as it stands at the moment, everyone can access those. We're not exclusive. For those of you that are still on the line, I just put the link to that project-based learning island survival activity in there. By all means, check out Teachers Pay Teachers, pop in, the content that you're looking for, and they've got some really cool stuff. Oh, the DT number, Nishal. No, you won't need to put your DT number in.
So I can't see any more questions. Any others snuck through? So if you do have any other questions for Molly and I, you can contact Molly at mollyturner@smarttech.com, or to contact myself, you can just reply to any of the emails you would have received when you registered for this email. So just reply to that. I think you would have received a reminder one today. You can just reply to that and that comes straight to me. I think we'll wrap it up and let everyone enjoy their afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Bye.